Okay. I want to mention one factor here because I see so many people get caught on the end of the play. We're going to take a little short break here in about 10 minutes. Get caught on the end of the play with a 31 for 8 with a small pair. Do you know there's one way you can keep that from happening? You still might get hung up for 7. If you have a chance to make the count even from 22 on, make the count even. Those pairs for 8, triples for 8, can only occur if the count is what? Odd. Exactly. 27 and 2 deuces. I make 27 with a deuce. Much better, and sometimes if you're watching for that, actually the 22 count against the dealer is the best number you can do in cribbage. 22 is the best number you can arrive at in the pegging game, puts the most pressure on the dealer. So try to do that as all, well, it doesn't make sense if you're looking at 3 6s to make the count 22, does it? Someplace you got a lesson that I want you to take a little closer look at, because sometimes we know a lot about the person's hand, but we just don't bother to think about it. Sometimes, instead of asking, I wonder what my opponent has, think about what your opponent does not have. Okay, so suppose you made the count 28 and your opponent dropped a deuce. What does that tell you? They have no 3 and no 1. They have no 3 or no 1. So you're sitting with a 3 and a face card. What do you play? 3, sure. Lots of times you can determine what your opponent does not have. You made the count 13 and they made 23. No deuce. Good time to make 29. We see this happen a lot. You lead a 10-point card and they put a 7 on it. 17. Well, they must not have a 5. So you take that little 9 off of your 10 jack, 9-10 jack, and you make the count 26, right? Good play. If they didn't take the 15, they'd probably say go on the 26. So remember what wasn't available for play. Now it's true, some people are such poor players that you'll say 13 and they'll fumble around, do nothing with it. So you make the count 29 and whoop, 31 for 2. Wow! Where'd that come from?
Well, isn't there a strategy like if your opponent leads a face card, which we see at our club a lot, sometimes I'll throw a 6 on it, and they'll make it 26, and I've got the 5.
Well, sure, that's what I was talking about earlier on the Magic 11s. 2-card 11s work fine for the dealer. In fact, you might get both of them. You might get the 15 plus the 31 if you need 4 pegs. But if you like where you are, then skip the 15 and just put the 6 down and get 2. But if you need more than 2 pegs, don't be bashful of playing the 5 for 15 and hoping you get a count of 25 and get the 6 in too. So, and DeLynn shows that in his book, and it's absolutely true. If you're dealing on the first hand, and you got a 5 and a 6, you should never take the 15. You should make the count 16. The idea is to close the count, get out of there. Close the count at 31, not give your opponent a chance to peg. The dealer plays defense on the opening hand of the game, and the non-dealer plays offense. Okay. Anyway, keep that in mind. Also, when you see cards, transpose it into your own mind. If you see a 3 and a 4 on the table, think, when do you hold a 3-4?
dates, double runs.
Yeah, when you got either with eights or fives, double run. But you hold it generally. It could be
19.
cards of the same suit. And don't forget that, because faking a flush. I hear people say, "What the hell's faking a flush?"
Oh no, it works.
Once you show somebody 2 cards of a suit, better players start noticing that. It'll help you if you notice it. There's a big advantage. A flush can include any variety of cards. They're just of the same suit. It might be a 1-6 and a 10 queen. That's awful hard to read, isn't it? I mean, if you had any other hand to hold, you wouldn't have held the diamonds. So it presents some pegging opportunities you don't have otherwise, because it's very difficult to read your hand. Good players read your hand. And you can become one of those. Some of you are there already. But good players, when they see a certain card, how many of you said you have Hal's crib? There's a feature in there that is the most complex that has been done in any kind of a computerized cribbage program. And you can take a single card, and it will show you the hands that are most likely to exist with that card. If you take 2 cards, it will show you what the remaining 2 are most likely to be. And it will show you what the percentages are that these hands would occur. Well, that's the kind of ability there is in reading cards, is when somebody puts a 3 on the table, your mind has already made some adjustments about what they might be holding. It's automatic after a while. It's not something you have to stay up all night thinking about. You just sit down in the chair and the whole world opens up to you. But
Yeah, that's right.
but you see, part of that is being able to transpose that what you would hold in a given situation with the certain cards you're looking at, 1 or 2 cards, is probably typical to what your opponent is going to keep those cards with. They're not probably going to try to keep some crazy looking arrangement of cards to throw you off base. They're probably going to try to keep some cards that generally score some points. I mean, if you hold a double run of 3-3-4-2, it might confuse me a bit if you kept a 4 deuce and 2 kings. But you're not going to get down the board very far. So think of how you would hold it in that situation. That we've covered.